What's the best skill to learn for fighting? Footwork. Footwork is the best skill for self-defense, for fighting. Everything begins and ends with footwork. If your footwork is trash, your boxing is going to be trash, your kicks are going to be trash, your wrestling is going to be trash, your offense, defense is going to be trash. You got to have good footwork to set everything up. John Jones or Tom Aspinall? That's a good question, man. I got John Jones just because John Jones has the experience. Tom Aspinall, I don't think he's ever been past the second round. Even though he has that youth on his side, he's a big dude, but he don't have the experience, and experience goes a long way. There's nothing like being a crafty vet, and that's what John Jones is. John Jones has been there, done that for so many years. So for him, it's just another walk in the park to do 5 rounds, whereas Tom Aspinall doesn't know what it's like to even go to the third round. Best fighting style in your opinion? Boxing. Defensive boxing. But if you just look at the sport of MMA right now, you look at Ilia Topuria, you look at Dustin Poirier, Max Holloway. I mean, shoot, you go down the list. Pretty much everyone who has good striking is a good boxer. Look at Jack Della Maddalena. Yo, what's going on, guys? For punching or locking. I don't even know what you mean by locking. How should I build up my conditioning as an absolute beginner? I talked about this before, but basically there's 3 different forms of cardio. You want to work your lactic acid system, you want to work your alactic acid system, and your aerobic cardio system. So if you want to boil it down, you just basically want to go for long distance runs. You could jump rope for a long time. You could hit the bag for a while. You could do light cardio by sparring lightly or by rolling lightly. That's going to cover your aerobic style cardio, which is basically long distance, your body's ability to continue to put out effort for a long period of time. Not super hard though. And then you have your alactic acid system, which is your body's ability to explode, pretty much 100% max exert itself in a short period of time, usually 6 to 12 seconds. And then you have your lactic acid system, which is your body's ability to perform a decently high effort for about 15 to 2 minutes in time. If you work those 3 groups, you'll be good. What skill should I learn to fight? Boxing. How to get quicker on your feet. You could do fast footwork drills. So that's what I call them, but it's basically like ladder drills. You want to do ladder drills. You want to do lateral foot movement drills. You want to do there's a bunch of different drills that you can do pretty much to get your footwork better. But really the key is having rhythm and coordination. You got to be balanced. And what happens is over time, as you keep doing these footwork drills, you start to grow your rhythm. You start to grow your balance. So you can be more coordinated when you're moving around. And the more coordinated you are, the easier it is for you to learn things and do things on the fly. You can see something one time and do it. Why? Because you have rhythm. Why? Because you're coordinated. Best discipline for general fighting, not in competition. Boxing. I already said that, and it's basically just because you have footwork. If you can move your feet in the street fight situations, you're going to be safe, because in a street fight, the worst thing you could do is stay still, stay stationary. If you're stationary, you're a sitting duck. Never let your enemy get you in one spot, because at that point, you're just playing Russian roulette. You can move your head as much as you want. You can block punches as much as you want, but eventually you're going to get caught. Whereas when you're moving your feet, people are slipping all over the place or stumbling all over themselves. You got a much better chance of being safe in a street situation by moving your feet. What do you mean by footwork? Can you be more specific? Just move your feet. Yeah, like just don't stand in one spot. Would you fight a woman? You know, it's funny. Actually, my first tournament ever, I went against a girl. I was 15 years old. I just turned 15 years old. And my first competition ever in my entire life. Never played any sports before. I never played basketball, football, baseball, anything like that. First thing I ever did was fight. And I did a grappling tournament. I was like 15 years old. I've been training for about 4 months. And when I got to the tournament, there was a girl in front of me. And I whooped her. I didn't hold back at all. As soon as they called it, boom, took her ass down. I subbed her in like a minute. That's funny. Yeah, that was my first competition ever. What's your move in the street fight to end it quickly? I think the best move that you could learn in the street fight, if you want to get out of there, get in and out really fast, is a park step. And the reason why I'm saying that is because a park step requires you to move, right? You're moving your feet, and you're aggressive, and an aggressive opponent, they're going to be chasing after you. They're going to be chasing after you. They're going to be stumbling over themselves, trying to get to you, and then you park your feet and you fire off. You catch them with a hook, catch them with a cross, but it's very surprising because they're not expecting you to stop out of nowhere and attack them. So they're going to be chasing after you, and then when you stop, boom, you'll be able to crack them. So I think a park step is probably the best technique that you could learn, because that could work for 3 or 4 people at the same time. You could just be moving your feet, park, boom, crack one. Move your feet, park, boom, crack another one. If you're a beginner MMA fighter, man, just stick to your basics. Learn how to wrestle, learn basic takedowns, basic takedown defense, learn your basic jujitsu, go over your basic striking, go over your jabs. If you're new at fighting, MMA or boxing or any combat sport, stick to your basics. Don't worry about jumping off the cage. Don't worry about spinning and doing some kind of crazy wheel kick. Just do the basics. Work your stance, work your work your feints, things that are going to be tried and true and are going to get you to where you need to go without trying to be flashy, because those flashy things work here and there, and yes, they're cool, but those are not the things that make champions. 9 times out of 10, a champion has a good jab. A champion has good footwork, good head movement, basic things that get you to the dance, basic things that get you that belt. How to see punches coming. You don't really need to see punches coming. Here's the thing about defense, man. Here's the major key with defense. Defense doesn't rely on you seeing punches. Defense relies on you understanding basic combinations. Think about this, right? When somebody throws a jab, what comes next? A cross. When somebody throws a cross, what comes next? A hook. These are basic combos that everyone uses. Left, right, left, right, left, right. You could predict that. So when someone is throwing punches at you, you're not really reacting to the punches that he's throwing in real time. Or so predicting that his next punch after the jab is going to be a cross. So once you get really good at that, you can pretty much start moving your head instinctually, just understanding, okay, I just slipped this way. He's probably going to throw this. Okay, I'll slip this way. I'm going to come over here and block this side because this is the only logical punch to throw next, right? If I throw with his right hand, there is no other right hand to throw. There's only a left hand that can come next. So if I slip over here, I'm going to block like this because there is no longer a threat on this side. There's only a threat on this side. So once you get comfortable with understanding patterns and rhythm and timing, it's a wrap. But that's why I also say you need to add feints to your game, because once a person catches on to your timing and your rhythm, which anyone who's decent at fighting is gonna do that eventually. It doesn't matter how fast you are, it doesn't matter how good your timing is, how much you don't telegraph. Eventually, they're gonna catch on to your timing and rhythm. And the only thing that can break that is a feint. A feint will throw off their ability to time you properly and predict your patterns. Muay Thai or kickboxing? Probably Muay Thai, because I like the clinching. I like to have a lot of good clinching, knees and elbows and stuff. What to do if you're gassed on the ropes and can't get out any volume? I'm not exactly sure what you mean by that. You're gassed on the ropes? I'm not sure what you mean by that. You should do bare knuckle. Hell no. It's 24 late to start MMA. I have decent boxing skills. Nah, it's not too late. If you have good boxing, you gotta just focus on wrestling for like 2 to 3 years. Get busy and you can make up a lot of ground. Make sure your jujitsu's on point. Like, just work on your defensive jujitsu abilities and you can go real far. Somebody said volume also. What should I do to improve my cardio energy system to train when you're gassed mid-fight? Here's the key. Half the time it's not just about how good of shape you're in. Half the time it's just about how strong-minded you are, how much heart you have. Because a lot of these fighters, like when you see Max Holloway fighting strong in the 5th round, you see Dustin Poirier fighting strong in the 5th round, you see Merab going hard in the 5th round, even a lot of boxers who go hard later in the fight. It's not that they're not tired. They're tired. But the thing is that they have a lot of dog and grit. They're willing to push through that tiredness and still go after what they want. Whereas some people are just more soft. Some people, when they feel that pain, that adversity, they're like, nah, I don't want nothing to do with that. You got to be mentally strong to push past that and say, no, I want what I want. I don't care. I'm not going to die. I'm going to be okay. But right now, I'm going to give it everything I got. And so a lot of times it's really just getting used to being super tired and fighting in that fatigued, nasty feeling anyways. Because here's the thing. When you fight, that's half the battle. Half the battle is you're fighting that person. Half the battle, you're tired as hell. You don't feel good because you're exhausted. But the more you can fight back and say, nah, I'm not folding. I'm going hard till the fight is over. Like, if you can do that through the tiredness, that's what makes you different type of animal. That's why you got your Max Holloways, your Dustins. These people are tired and they go hard anyways. But with that being said too, though, I'm not saying that like you should be tired and just completely ignore all sense of logic. Obviously, you should still look for positions to rest, look for positions to catch your breath and to, you know, strategize and plan your next move. Don't just go out there balls to the wall swinging the whole time. That's not good either, because then you end up like with your arms super heavy and you're just pretty much out there just like, you ever seen Conor McGregor when he fought against Floyd. In those later rounds, he's just like dragging his arms. He can barely pick his hands up. You don't want to be like that either. So you obviously want to be smart with it, but you do have to understand that you're going to be tired. You have to push through that anyways. Does strength help in a fight? Yes, strength definitely helps in a fight because the stronger you are, the less effort you have to put into techniques and takedowns and punches to get the same result. So if I wanted to lift a 100-pound dumbbell, right, the stronger I am, the easier it is to lift that. And the easier it is to lift that, the less energy it takes out of me to pick it up. The less energy it takes, the more energy I have to do other things. So if you're stronger, you're going to have better cardio because of that. I'm not talking about explosiveness. I'm just saying in general, you're going to have you're going to be more conditioned because you're wasting less energy. Now, if you're super explosive though, like fast twitch, that's going to gas you out because you're so strong and explosive that it burns through all your energy so fast. So that's like a different problem. But in general, being stronger helps you because you're going to be able to maintain cardio because you're not using so much of it every time you do something. How can I win against a stronger opponent in grappling? Got to have better techniques, man. If somebody's stronger than you, because strength makes a big difference. If somebody's stronger than you, you got to have better skills. You have to make up the difference somewhere. You can't just be like equal skills and he's stronger because then he's just going to beat you. Maybe if your cardio is better than his, you could bank on that. Is park step the pull shot or no? No, a pull counter is not the same thing as a park step. A pull counter doesn't require you to move your feet. A pull counter, you can stay right in place and fire it. A park step, you have to be moving laterally, moving backwards, moving at a 45-degree angle, and somebody's following after you, and you park your feet and you fire off at them. So it's a little bit different. I'm 5'10". Should I stay in a distance or closer to my opponent in my sparring? I like body shots, like my favorite boxer, Canelo Alvarez. I don't think your height really makes too much of a difference as the style that you fight because it's really all about your temperament. If you're the type of dude who's very aggressive naturally, then you might want to be more inside and work that game. If you're more defensive naturally, you probably want to work more of a distance game. You have to lean into whatever you are naturally like. If you're naturally one way, you got to lean into that because you don't want to spend all your time trying to be something that you're not and never be able to rise to your full potential. Because if you're supposed to be a defensive fighter, you can become really good at being a defensive fighter. If you're supposed to be an offensive fighter, you can become really good at being offensive. Look at Max Holloway. He's pretty much on the offense most of the time at 145. At 155, fight's a little bit different, but he's able to lean into his own style, not just, oh, I'm tall, so I have to be long. That's not how it works. What would you do if you had to fight a wild animal? This is what I would do. If I had to fight a dog, I would choke a dog to sleep, right? I would try to sprawl on it. When it comes for me, I would try to sprawl on it, put it in the chokehold, and don't let go. But here's the thing. Sometimes a dog might like latch onto your foot, and that could be a good thing too. If a dog were to bite onto your foot, now he's pretty much exposed, so you could just go in for the choke. But one thing I hate is when you see like a dog attacking a kid or something, and then you see like grown men just like hitting the dog with a stick and not doing anything. Like, yo, if you don't put that dog in a headlock, what the hell? Thoughts on the body jab to the lead hook? I posted a video on that today. The low jab to the high hook is probably one of the best traps you can set. Because what happens is people, they drop their hands to defend that body jab, and then you come up with that lead hook. It's a beautiful setup. Another setup is to go low to the body, come up with the cross. Low to the body, come up with the overhand. Jab to the head. When they go to catch it, fake. They go like this, boom, come around with that lead hook. Setups are super important because if you can set someone up by catching on to their defensive patterns, how they defend themselves, usually that's where most of your knockouts are coming from. Because you're just catching on to the cues. Okay, he goes like this a lot. All right, I got something for that. But you got to be a cerebral fighter, a real strategic fighter. You can't just be in there brawling. You got to be paying attention, which is why it's important. If you don't want to get set up in a fight, if you don't want somebody to trap you and trick you and set you up with something that's going to knock you out, you have to always be mixing up your defense. If you use the same defense twice, try to switch it to something else on the third one. So 2 catches, then you got to go to a block or a pull or switch it up. Because if you keep using the same defense over and over, that's how you get got. 1 roll is never a bad thing. But 3 rolls, eventually you're going to move into a head kick. 1 catch is not a bad thing. But 3 of those, now they're going to go to the body. So always be switching up your defense so that your enemy doesn't catch on and set you up with a trap. How do I fight people that want to brawl out as a ranged defensive fighter? Just stay at range. Here's the key though. If somebody wants to brawl and you like to keep your range, make sure that you don't fight with your back against the wall, your back against the ropes or the cage. keep space behind you. If you have space behind you, that means you have full range of defense. But the moment that cage or that wall is behind you, they just limited you. Now you can't move backwards. Now you can't move back at a 45-degree angle. It just took away a lot of your defensive capabilities. So what you want to do is make sure have eyes on the back of your head. Always know what's in your surroundings. Never allow them to trap you in a corner. Always be ready to move and smother and turn them, push them off, get back to the middle. It's super important that you keep space behind you if you're a defensive fighter. All right, guys, that's it for today. I'll try to be back up here tomorrow.